How are you? I hope you're well. I am well and feeling very blessed to have a word today. Um, I'm also so thankful because the last time I did a live, I was thinking that for sure I will do the next one on Friday, and it has worked as such. So I feel like I have had an ideal kind of week when it comes to sharing the word, and I'm so blessed that it has worked like that. I didn't think that I would make it today, but I feel like God sent someone to to me, and out of that, listen, there came a word, and look, I get surprised sometimes when things work this way, because the word that I'm going to share today is in line with what I shared last time. And I was talking about how if you think you're standing, look again, because or be careful not to fall, because we are in a very, shall I even say, sensitive, because there are people who are used to just waiting, and when the time comes, they get a reward, and often it favors them, but they don't always act right. Yeah, they have been warned, they have been taught, especially the chosen ones. Did you guys know that chosen ones get punished, severely? And the funny thing is that God gives you a calling, yeah, and it may not look, your life may not look how you expect it to be. And so it is a matter of choice. Yeah, you do not know it, but you have a choice, okay? And you're supposed to rise to the occasion. But the problem sometimes with chosen ones, and I'm sorry that I'm starting like this, is that we look so long and hard at what other people, doing, and the pain that we are feeling, and we forget that the very thing that we are doing or going through is an actual calling, okay? And so we feel like we are so disadvantaged, and I've talked about this before, in this my calling, which hasn't looked the way I would have wanted. I like things beautiful, well put together, comfortable, and this has been out of my comfort. And so I've been talking about how, we work together as friends and we do each other dirty. You are a parent to a child, and you keep doing that child dirty, and as they grow and they come into their own, you really want to kill the beauty, the very thing that God is using in this child, and this thing you forget that this child is chosen just like you to come and save you, but you want to kill it because it's all coming through you, yeah? So we are going to have to be very disciplined from here, because this is a very curious season where God is actually going to reward. Yeah, recompense means I've actually given, sorry, I'm so sorry. I've actually given the meaning in the description box, but I will search it again so that I read it out to you. Um, so recompense, I see, has two meanings, and one is to make amends to someone for loss or harm suffered, or compensate. For example, offenders should recompense their victims. Yeah. So if you do somebody some wrong, you're supposed to rise up and be sorry about it, yeah, and show that you're sorry about it, that you recognize your mistake, yeah. And the other meaning is compensation or reward given for loss or harm suffered or effort made. Yeah. So if you do a thing and you put your energy there, you make a sacrifice, God is going to reward you for that. Yeah. And even life, in life, as we do things, and as you choose to make a sacrifice, as you choose to carry a certain burden that other people wouldn't, you will notice that you're getting rewarded for it. Yeah, it is like a law, it is like a spiritual principle. Yeah, well, for whatever you do, you get a reward. Yeah, so the example of that, according to the dictionary, is substantial damages were paid in recompense. Yeah, so for whatever you do, for whatever you sacrifice, yeah, you will be paid. Okay, and so it will be paid back to you with profit. And so if you do good, you will see a bigger reward. Yeah, but if you do wrong, you will see that you will learn a huge lesson from it, and that will also include embarrassment. Yeah, the Bible says in Proverbs 6:30 that a thief, nobody minds when a thief is stealing to just feed themselves. Yeah, but if they are caught, even though they have nothing, they will pay 7 times over. Sorry, when they are caught, they will pay 7 times over, even though they have, nothing. Yeah, whatever they have will be all taken. 7 times over is what they will pay. So it seems like, the end justifies the mean for this thief for the longest time. And sometimes we don't look at what that is like in our life. And today I was reading a post earlier this morning, and my heart went out to the poster. I don't know if she was giving an example of something she went through. And the post was going something like this. Yeah. And I'm sorry to be using an example of it from somebody else's content. But yeah, she was saying something has to be said about the children who are birthed and then left, back home, raised by grandparents or a grandmother, especially that, usually happens. And then the mother goes ahead to get married, and now she has other siblings that she doesn't actually grow with. Yeah, and it could be a he. So this child that is being raised by the grandparent, for convenience, and so that the mother can claim back her life, or the father. And so she decides when she comes into this, or he. Yeah, I will talk, I think mostly female because I am. But anyway, so this child is left behind and doesn't get the advantage of the next family, or the advantage that the next family is enjoying. Yeah, that the parent marries into. And I've seen an example where a lot of women will marry and just uh say that they don't have a child. Yeah, and so even when the man comes to visit, they say they agree with the grandparents that you will say, this is my small sister. Yeah, and so this child grows up without an advantage, because the end justifies the means at that time. Yeah, so you grow, this woman continues to enjoy her life, and not knowing it, that could be the only enjoyment she finds, because she has set aside this child. She forgets that this child will grow and come into her own blessings and all of that. And now you're older, you're more tired, and you want to get some of this, because you're like, I'm your mother, regardless of what happened in the past. I'm your parent. Yeah, and the child get, like, even before, it's so bitter to have to endure that. Yeah, you see your mother leaving you, or your parent leaving you behind, where you're suffering with your grandparent. But she enjoys this family, he or she enjoys the new children. Maybe they're even very comfortable, comfort that you do not understand or do not know. Yeah, you don't get into until your time comes. Yeah, because the time for recompense will always come, and God is always watching. I guess that is what we don't remember. Yeah, when we do a thing, that God is always watching. And how you act, your consciousness when doing all these things that you're doing for your convenience, may determine if God will repay you, or you'll be like the thief that loses everything and have to just witness for helplessly, as everything that you ever worked for is taken to repay another. Yeah, and often I find that whenever God is doing a recompense, there are some people who are losing for some reason. Yeah, so that they can learn. And it is very interesting that even some people will keep fighting to prevent you from coming to a thing, because if you come into it, it means that they're losing, yeah. And that, makes me think about the people who do witchcraft on you, and they keep you limited, they keep you in turmoil, yeah. They are using the very thing that you were given as a gift, yeah, or they put you down so that they don't see you rising and you don't operate the way you should. And then the time, because they're given always time to either repent or keep digging that hole, yeah. When the hole is big enough, they're very likely to go in if they didn't take time to repent. And God will keep you pure, yeah, will keep you believing, will keep you hoping that these people would change, yeah. Now, for some reason, if you've listened this far, I will confuse you when I go into reading the book that I want to read. And this also is a part of this lesson, although it makes it wider. I'm going to talk about Abraham and the calling that he got. He was told to leave his land and go somewhere else where God would bless him, yeah. And this blessing included being given children, which he did not have, even though he had been married for a long time. And now he was an old man, yeah. And he didn't expect to have children. And whenever God talked to him, he would say, God, you're promising me all these things, but I do not have a child. And it seems like my servant Eliezer is the one who will reap, will get the blessing, yeah. My inheritance will be my inheritor. And God says, listen, that servant is not the one who will inherit you. Your own child, the child of promise, the child that I promised would come through you. And Abraham is the one who will get the uh, inheritance, okay? And so I'm looking for it, but God, after Isaac was born, and they were so happy about it, yeah, God instructs Abraham to go and sacrifice this child, yeah. And you can imagine how frightening that was, yeah. So when you're called, you'll keep being tested, yeah, to just see, are you keeping the faith, or are you just bragging about it? I am the chosen one, I am the called. God has lashed a lot of people along the way. I have seen that he favors me, surely he shall deliver this promise. And because you think you're called, and I always say that when you're a chosen person, you may expect, or maybe other people watching you are thinking it is so easy where you're standing, but it is actually very tough. And this is a perfect example. I don't think that there's another example that is as deep as this, to just show you what people go through, even when we think that these people are privileged, yeah. But they're breaking chains for you guys, yeah, so that you can come to enjoy the life that you didn't, for the ones who have come before this person, and that the people who come after you will enjoy, just like you saw Isaac enjoying, some ease in his life, and so on and so forth, until the next one who needs to break the chains comes along, which is Jacob, and he looks like he's not blessed at all, even though the blessing is over him, yeah. A lot of families that look very unfortunate have the greatest blessing of God on them, but all they see is suffering, yeah. But in the at the end, God will bring a recompense. It may not come through you, but it will come through your children. But God will keep you alive so that you can see it, yeah. But if you did your part, then you will get to enjoy. If you did not, then you will see this is the time that you actually come into recognition of the things that you failed in, because at some point you were not obedient, you were looking away to the left or to the right, or maybe you didn't align with God to understand what he was calling you into, okay. And so we see, and this is a story, that was given to me even the time before I left Kenya. It was also used to show it was God's way of showing me that somebody he had sent to me had a word for me, yeah. And so he was talking to me about Genesis 22, and I will read. Sometime later, God tested Abraham's faith. Abraham, God called. Yes, he replied, here I am. Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will show you. The next morning, Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey and took two of his servants with him, along with his son Isaac. Then he chopped wood for a fire for a burnt offering and set out for the place God had told him about. On the third day of their journey, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. Stay here with the donkey, Abraham told the servant, the boy and I will travel a little further. We will worship there and then we will come straight back. Yeah. And this is where the whole message that I'm going to share is. Yeah. Even though, there's more to that. When they went up the hill, there's so much that happened. Yeah. But I do want to dwell there for a bit and talk about this servant. Yeah, because a lot of times people may be entitled because they're working with you and they think they will of course reap the reward. Yeah, and I'm not saying that this is what the servant expected. Of course, as a servant, maybe they did not have the entitlement, but maybe they did. Yeah, because being in this social media space, we see that even servants will be looked into, like, are they getting their justice? Are they getting the benefits of working with this person? Hi, Gabriel. Hello, welcome. Yeah, so at this point, even though this servant has come along to help them in the journey, carrying all these things that they need for the sacrifice, Abraham understands that he cannot go with this servant to the hill, yeah, to the sacrifice place, yeah. Also, maybe as a person, he didn't want witnesses, but also maybe he had learned from before that when God said, take this and do this, there are people who are supposed to be, involved, okay? And so he leaves the servant there, meaning this servant was not supposed to witness this. And also, because in verse 15, in chapter 15, we see God telling him, no, your servant is not the one who is going to be reaping this blessing. Yeah, it is going to actually be your son. Yeah, but then this is a moment where he's being called to faith something. Yeah, that his faith is tested and is told, this very child that I gave you, the child of promise, has come. Yeah, and maybe in a way he was ridden with guilt. Yeah, feeling like, oh my God, I must have messed up somewhere, because the very gift that God promised me, now he's asking me to sacrifice. Yeah, but I cannot say no. So he's called to obedience, and we see that he obeys time and time again. Yeah, sorry. And even when he's taken away from obedience, when he's tempted to do a thing and he falls for it, still God's takes him back and shows him, listen, you and I have a thing. Yeah, I called you to do a thing, and whenever he's wrong, yeah, or whenever he falls short, like the time he agreed to birth a child through his servant, God allowed this child to come. Yeah, and this child also got blessings for being the seed of Abraham. But God urged Abraham to let him go because he was still not the child of promise. Yeah, so there's a thing that God is calling you into, the thing that he wants to bless you into, and sometimes it takes very long and we get into our own devices. Yeah, we forget that we should be stayed, in his presence, and it is hard. Yeah, it is hard. And this pain that you've been going through, this having to endure, sometimes just waiting, and you can't do anything about it, but just sit there and wait. God is going to reward that. Yeah, and just to validate your faith and show before men that actually your waiting bore a fruit. Yeah, your seeding or sowing something is now going to bear fruit. Yeah, and it will be evident for everybody to see. Okay, but today I want to tell you that your calling doesn't just stop there. Yeah, when God tells you to do a thing, to start a thing, to go somewhere, it doesn't just stop there. You'll be tested many times to see if you stand, and if you endure, then at the very end, you're going to come into your blessing, just like Abraham came into this blessing of Isaac. Yeah, and one time I ever had this, and I was talking, I mentioned the person who told me about this message and telling me that, yes, you're going to get the thing that God is calling you into. Yeah. And nobody else will get it. It has to be you. Okay. And he was giving me this example of Abraham coming up to the hill, and leaving the servant at the bottom, yeah. And you know, God would use somebody else to take the sermon from there and tell us, yeah, because it was a sermon, it was like a rhema word, that when Abraham obeyed, yeah, and he was going up the hill, was this a small quest? Was this a small ask? It wasn't. Can you imagine just sacrificing your own child? A lot of times we say that God gave me this, yeah, I cannot afford to share it, or you know, I cannot. Now you become the manager, yeah. And they say for a chosen one, there's no certainty in your life. God will give you this thing today and tomorrow tell you to give it all away. Have you ever experienced that? Especially people who have come to a financial blessing and God tells you, take that chunk of money and go sacrifice it here, yeah? And it's not easy, but he's asking you to trust him. You know, I love the illustration where Jesus is holding, it is an illustration where Jesus is asking a small child who has a tiny teddy bear to trust him and give him that teddy bear that the child loves. And Jesus has this big teddy bear that's hidden behind, you know, his back, and the child says, no, I cannot give it to you. I love it. And he says, yes, but trust me. You will get bigger for trusting me with this one. Yeah. And we don't, the child doesn't know, but we can all see that, you know, behind this man's back is held a bigger teddy bear. Okay, so sometimes God will ask you, give me that little thing, yeah, give me that what you have, take all the money out of your account today and put it here, yeah. And I'm telling you, this journey requires faith, because sometimes we'll be like, this is the only thing I have. And look, God, if it's Abraham, he's reasoning with God. You told me this is the child of promise, right? And now you're taking him, I'm sorry, you're taking him, and yet you said, Ismail is not the one, is not the child of promise. You made me let go of Ismail, and now you're taking this child. Does that mean then now you get to bring Ishmael back? Because we are even older than when we first began with Sarah, yeah? I don't expect that another child will come out of that, yeah? And, God is asking him, calling him, to attest, yeah. And so this was the beauty of this sermon, and I hold it in high regard, yeah. And it was showing that, you know, as Abraham went up the hill with Isaac, with each step he was committing more and more to going to sacrificing this thing. And I know that is you a lot of times when you're losing and you can't understand, you know, that's another thing I've lost. That is another mess I've gotten into. Are you still going to keep this promise that you showed me, God? Are you still coming through? You know, why are you asking me to give you everything? As a chosen one, am I the one who is going to be a laughing stock for not holding anything in my hands? Whatever you give, you take away, you know? You even start to doubt, did I get this right? Was there a place I messed up? Was there a place, you know, I didn't do right? I didn't obey, you know, and it takes you into repentance, okay? And as you consecrate like that, you're just making yourself just a cleaner vessel, yeah? Because, Jesus, when teaching, said you cannot put old wine into new wineskins, yeah? Because it will tear that, wineskin. You have to be made new in order to receive the new thing, yeah. And maybe Abraham's faith at this point wasn't as big as it would be after this encounter, yeah. And so with each step that he was taking up, going up the hill, on the other side was a ram also climbing up, yeah. And maybe it kept thinking, you know, that pasture over there, that bush over there looks a bit more green, okay? And so he would leave what he's looking for and keep climbing, yeah. So as Abraham is coming with his child to make that sacrifice, you on the other side is coming up, yeah. And when he reached the top, this man was illustrating how he engaged the sheep, the ewe engaged his horns, yeah, on the bush and waited there. You know, so as Abraham is focusing on making this sacrifice, building that altar, you know, with the help of Isaac, and Isaac is like, Daddy, we have everything. We have the knife, we have the firewood, we are setting up an altar. But where is the sacrifice? Because at this point, he knows this guy is all about sacrificing. Trust me, your children know you, yeah? But there's no sheep. So where is it going to come from? Yeah. And he says God will provide. And perhaps maybe this boy knows from growing up with his father that this is a man of faith. He has, this word in his mouth. When I say our children know us, they really do, They know each parent and they know how you roll about, yeah. They know what you will say in certain circumstances, and maybe that's the word they need to hear. And so, you know, Isaac is shocked to see his father lift him and put him on the altar as a sacrifice. Let me tell you, sometimes when God is testing us, and putting us on that altar to be a sacrifice, we need to understand, remember, reflect, meditate on the love He has shown us this far, yeah? On the promises that He has brought to pass so far. Had this boy not understood his father's love, or not just reveled in it, grown in it all this time, understanding that he's a treasure to his father, maybe they would talk about what a fight ensued from there, because even a little child will fight you when he feels like he's in danger. I mean, life is a motivation unto itself. If your child doesn't trust you or doesn't trust what you're about to do, they're going to fight you. They're going to fight with all they have. But we don't see a fight. Yeah, we don't. It's not said, that there was a fight. But when this guy took that test of faith and put that child there to sacrifice, he's told, oh yeah, before he cuts him up, there's an EU stuck on that bush. So go and take it, and that will be the sacrifice, yeah? And so another thing is established. Let me tell you, you've been on some levels that you trusted God and He came through. And maybe that also came with a lot of pain and changing your mind. Yeah, you needed to be renewed in order to receive all this. But let me tell you, this thing that happened in that moment caused three men. I'm calling God a man because we say he all the time. But it caused, a lot of faith to be established. A thing was established right there. A young man got to know, or got to come into, understanding more and more the God of his father. At this point, he was now involved. Let me tell you, you think that you are the one experiencing pain and hardship all the time, yeah? But let me tell you, when your children are growing up in stature and in faith, and they come to test the faith that they saw you practicing, and they see that this faith is working out, they have learned from you to endure, to wait upon a thing, yeah? So that even when they lose, they're like, we've lost that, or that has been stolen from us, yeah? It has been taken away from us, but the God of our parent is going to restore 7 times over. And now they are living lives that look like that. you know they are living lives that look like 7 times over what they used to know, what they grew in, yeah. And even you are given the chance to even participate in that. And let me tell you, it is a beautiful thing when our children are practicing our faith. And so we see a thing that is, rewarded, even though it looks shameful at this point, that, yeah, you believed in this God, but now He has left you again. He's asking you to sacrifice His child, your child, yeah. It looks like this God is so mean. What the hell? He is so mean. He always takes, even what he didn't have pain in. It was Sarah going through the rigors of pain, yeah? And even now he's not even told. Have you ever gone through a thing where your spouse is told a thing and you're not? He's told to hang on to something because your strength is less. I have. So when I tell you that God will hold somebody and will test the test, or, the faith of somebody, that He has given the vision to, He will, and you will just be seeing the reward after, and, hearing the story after that, actually, Sarah, I took Isaac the other day. Woo! I don't know if they ever said, because that would fetch him a cat, or a very moody woman. But you do see what I'm saying. Sometimes you know, there's a calling on somebody in the family, and it's only by faith that they will stand. But this faith is not just doesn't just happen. It is tested through fire, okay? And faith without action is dead. So when I tell you that your faith will be tested in ways you can't imagine as a chosen one, believe me, yeah. And so we see that, you know, sometimes I was talking about how you know, because this we will keep entering, you know, into the issue of marriage. And sometimes as wives, we think we have a clear picture of where we are going, and so we want to gain that speed. And sometimes we're even so disrespectful as we are looking at that thing, yeah, the thing that your husband told you about, the vision that he gave for this family, and you're like running to get it, yeah. And God is like, you know, you will have to learn a thing or two, because now you're, as much as the, you know, energy for this thing and the vision, you see it clearly. I remember once my husband called me and told me, he was in Canada, I have this job offer in America. And I'm like, already, as he says this, I'm seeing myself walking in the place he's describing. I've never Googled it, don't know how it looks like, but I'm assuming, you know, being a coastal area, it must look like this, yeah. I see the colors of a coastal area, the sun, the sunset, you know, the palm leaves and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, we need to do this because I see myself there, yeah. But let me tell you, we have to always remember, when a thing is given to us, the vision is for a set time. And though it tarries, because it will, you will be taught, you'll be trained, yeah. You will have to grow into that thing, because at the time it is being promised to you, you don't have it yet, yeah. So you don't have the capacity to even handle it. You don't know what it takes, yeah. But through the process, God is building you, yeah. You are a little girl that, you know, is pregnant with the possibility of having a great family, yeah, with a great, you know, mandate on you or on your family. You are ready for that, even as you as a girl, yeah. But you do not come into that kind of thing until you're ready, until you're grown in stature, until you're grown in wisdom, yeah. So remember that a vision is for a set time, okay? And so you need to write down your vision and not fight for it. At times we are given to training our husbands. Let me tell you, part of the test is God giving you a man that doesn't even look like he knows what he's doing. Part of the vision is God giving you a man who cannot speak as you can. Okay? Part of the vision is God giving you a man who is so patient in waiting, and you will be crying and praying in your closet all night long. And you're like, you know, you have this vision, you keep talking about this thing, but you don't even know how to pray. Do you know how God communicates with men is so different? If you hear nothing about anything in this season, but you're in marriage trying to figure things out, listen, men are not women, because God's ways are not man's ways. Let me tell you, there's a reason why God built men the way he did. And having been around 3 men, I can tell you that men are not, they do not think like us. They're not prompted like us, yeah? When you see the houses dirty, you think to rush. And that is a very just small example. Like, it doesn't even compare to what God is calling you, because all these other things are just survival. You know, all these other things are just the chores that you need to do in order to keep, you know, things running. Yeah, those are just the chores. But let me tell you, the ministry is so much higher. Okay. And so when you look down upon the person God has called you to do this thing with, and think, oh my God, I can just leave, you know, I can do this with somebody else, because me, I am ready, I am strong, you know, I come from this warrior women who can do this. And part of the you know, part of this vision coming to fruition is having a person who will just be standing. Okay, they're standing, they're not moving, you know, until that comes to pass, because running will get you an Ishmael. Running will get you, you know, thinking that you own people and can bring them into this vision, yeah? But the vision is for a set time. Do you guys understand? If you're there and you're watching this and you're understanding, then talk to me, because sometimes it's not the women who are not patient, it's the men, you know. And I mean, Sometimes it's not the man that is patient, it's the woman, yeah. And the man wants to run, and she's like, this woman that I married is not, doesn't have speed, doesn't have the energy. She's not like other women, she's making me feel so discouraging. They wish that I didn't marry her. And that is the one you're given to stand. She's not moving until the set time for this vision to come to fruition. When I tell you that you do not even know what God is doing, because as much as you can see where the path, and you're running on it, let me tell you, you do not know the time that is going to come, yeah, and how it's going to come. So this person is just given a vision to stand and to wait, yeah. So as much as we want to run, remember that the partner God has given you is very vital for this journey. And if it were not so, God would not allow it to happen, yeah. But as you are struggling and trying to understand the process, God already has seen the end from the beginning, yeah. So where you are, all you're called to do is stand and have faith that this thing is going to come to pass. Okay, we have great and diverse examples in the Bible, and we've seen the kind of people that God used. And sometimes when God uses that person who is so small and you've never imagined anything can come from you, you may spend a lot of time, trying to rise into that. And that is why God allows hardship, so that you can say, it's not you who did it, yeah, but you can say God has actually trained me in this, yeah. And when you come into that kind of wisdom that gets you the very big thing, that you're waiting for, or you've been working towards, you will understand why you had to suffer so much, yeah. And then it will humble you. If you're not given to humility after seeing what God is doing, then it means you're set on another journey to gain that, yeah, to gain a heart of wisdom. Thus, knowledge, thus, wisdom is the ability to apply the knowledge. Yeah, God will show you many things, He will teach you many things. Yeah, but at times you don't even apply it. At times you don't even know what time it is, because you're just looking at the thing. Yeah, but in all this, you must understand that it's not about the thing that you get, especially in the physical world. It's what chains you are broken in the spiritual, yeah. It's accomplishing what God has done. It's bringing your generation, yeah, to the point where it stands in all its glory, not failure, yeah. Because it should all end in glory if you're trusting God, yeah, and if you understand that you're a people called to Him, yeah, or to His purposes, yeah. So a lot of times we do not understand that, and we're just looking at this place here, just enough light for where you're standing. We are looking at how we are feeling, the fatigue, and we lose the vision. And the word says, where there's no vision, people perish. Okay, so stand and keep your eye on the prize, because God is able and willing to fulfill that. Okay, He's a promise keeping God. I have seen Him to do that. You guys already know, yeah, because I have shared with you, and God is so faithful. And sometimes, because we think that God is all about the thing that you've been looking at, you don't know what it takes once you get there. You don't know what He's planning to do with the thing that He gave you, yeah? Am I saying the thing too much to for us to get it? Okay, so the thing is actually a tool. The location that God is taking you is just a tool, okay? It's just where He puts you on a different ground so you can worship Him. That is where you will see the burning bush, okay? That is where God will speak again and tell you the instructions of the journey to rescue His people. So you do understand that the thing is about rescuing His people. And while you may enjoy the glory, while you may enjoy what it feels like to be in that position, the thing is about rescuing His people. And how does He do that? How does He do that? Yeah. And we see the example of Moses, where he's comforted and given a family to love him and be with him, and then he's sent back to rescue these people. Yeah. A lot of times when we come into our comfort and that softness and that you know place where God is taking you, sometimes we forget that, some people are given the journey to continue with the generations ahead, and some are given the journey to go back and pull your people. Okay, so you must ask God, what is my mantle? What have you given me to do? What are you asking me to do? What are you calling me back into? Okay, I will give you an example. A lot of times after the Israelites went into Canaan and built, yeah, because of the fasting that they did, yeah. And so that is why I always say, when you see your people going into another land, let them build, because that is the fasting that God requires them to do, to settle and build, yeah. And to also get to understand, does if you followed my journey, does it help you understand what people are going through abroad, that they have to come understand the land and begin building according to the instructions that gave them? Because when God gave them this calling, it wasn't a conference call. Some of you did not even know that it's going to happen. Some of you may have seen the beginning stages and now see a completion of a thing. Oh, God came through for them, just like he said, yeah. But you do not even know what these people are going somewhere to do. Okay, it's not only that they are going to come into money that will, bless you. And you may feel this blessing coming, yeah, through this person, because you're affiliated with or you're related to. But as this person is waiting to come into that thing, you get impatient and you pressure them, yeah. And while this pressure may work into, pushing them into coming to that thing, perhaps that pushing and that pressure is actually pushing them into more separation from you. And yeah, they will come back. Do you see how Moses took 40 years before he was able to go back to his people? Because his own people threatened him, yeah? And they said, you were not the ones you killed, like you killed that person yesterday. Okay, so don't come to try and teach us how we should do or what we should do, yeah? Some people are going to miss it, yeah? I believe there's some generations that were lost while Moses was coming into his comfort, yeah? He was being comforted in this place in Midian. And people had to wait 40 more years before he came to collect them, before he came to save them. Do you understand that there's some people in that very space that did not make it out because of the pressure, the kind of pressure that they were applying? And let me tell you, we will not be pulling any punches soon. Yeah, we are going to talk about things the way they are, because yeah, maybe it is given to you to put pressure, to pile pressure somewhere, because there are people who are even ahead, or before you, that came before you, that did not even see, come to see anything good happening. Maybe they were only grateful for what they received, for what they saw then, yeah, for the potential they saw, but they haven't enjoyed as much as you. They haven't seen as much as you. They haven't, seen things being restored or recompensated to their people. Maybe they died saying that, God, may you remember my generations, yeah, but they did not see them being remembered. But you who sees, yeah, even the beginning of that are piling so much pressure that people, it looks like it's going to break these people, and you don't know. Your only fear is that you may be left behind, yeah. So that, shows a bit of entitlement where these things are concerned. If you hear nothing, you guys, let me tell you, you should not pressure that person who goes to break the generational curses. You should not pressure that person working in Saudi and you are eating all the money they are working for. This is blood. This is a blood sacrifice, yeah? It's blood and sweat, And so God is calling us to change our minds, yeah, to renew our mind into what we think things are. Okay, and that is why, even though we live in a world where we don't even believe in marriages anymore, we are like, I'm a single person doing very well. I can raise my own children. God is calling you to humility. Come from that place. Come from that thought. You have to renew your mind. And some people are into all of that. They're doing well by themselves, and they're thinking every person I meet is a red flag, and yet God is calling you into marriage and settlement, yeah? And with this, you have to submit. Do you know submission doesn't mean being lowly? It doesn't mean coming down from a pedestal. Maybe you had to come there to operate at the level you are operating, yeah? But now God is calling you to humble so that you may get some things that you think are lowly. Let me tell you, God hides his power in the lowly places. And that is why I say, even when we can talk so brilliantly and perform so well with our mouth and our very fast mind, God is looking at you. Can you humble? Can you come down and listen to my plan? Because in these lowly places is where I've hidden my power, yeah? In this very lowly institution called marriage, that is where your breakthrough lies. That is where the salvation of your generation lies. Can you do this very lowly work? Can you step from this? And sometimes stepping from that, in our day seems very painful because we are living it up. The world has become such a good place for people who are able to buy these things with money. Yeah. And so when God is calling you to a marriage and you're like, I've been there, I've done that, I don't want to do it anymore, I just want the benefits of it, and you feel like you can buy it, but God is telling you, no, there's a ministry of marriage in you. Am I talking to somebody? If you're there and you can uh, acknowledge that, I'm telling you, I know it's tough sometimes. Are you a wife, newly married, and you're like, I don't think my husband uses a brain? It seems like he uses the food he eats. Instead, you're just learning that the king, this man who is supposed to be a king, actually farts and talks nonsense, and you can't bear it, and you're like, God, I need an exchange. This is not what I signed up for. Is that you? Is that you? And when people tell you, I told you it's hard for older women to do the thing that Paul is telling them to do in Timothy 2, to talk to the younger ones, because they are know-it-alls. They're like, I'll do mine different, yeah? This is ugly. It is, we cannot respect what we see older women going through. And they like, now I can sit back and watch. And then they watch you struggle, you know, because you did not honor. And maybe that is how you were supposed to roll. You are not, honor was not given to you because God wants you to have it rough so that you can humble. When you're afflicted, you humble. When you're afflicted, you learn God's precepts. And so we see, out of the brokenness in our land, out of the brokenness in our lives, God is asking us, to still believe, to come to him. And he's telling us, out of that brokenness, he's coming back to us, yeah? Isaiah 54, and he promises to rebuild us. Sometimes he does that even after we have lost hope, yeah? Hope, we don't know, we don't have anything to look forward to. We don't have anything that we are believing in anymore. And we are like, I want an exchange. I want different. God, I cannot bear this. I hate it. And God is, asking your partner to stand, and you think they're stupid for standing, yeah? You're like, please drop the facade. I've been there. So when I tell you these things, I just want somebody to borrow a leaf, and it may be not a lot of you, but the ones who are called to a thing, yeah? And you're called to hold on. The people who hold on may look stupid, but they're actually breaking chains and carrying an inheritance for the ones who, are ahead. The people I have seen actually leaving an inheritance in my family did not leave it out of strength. It's not that they couldn't have done better. It's not like they couldn't have, sold it and enjoyed it themselves. And I'm talking about real life property, physical property, yeah? I know sometimes we want to leave it up, but it is not for us. It is not for us to enjoy. It's for our children. Do you understand what it means when God say, when Solomon is saying that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, not his children? What do I mean by that? Sometimes when when even with the physical things that we have, yeah, sometimes we'll even get an inheritance and sell it, but it's supposed to benefit our children's. Like when you sell it, are you leaving something to your children, or are you eating it all and giving yourself ease? It is a mantle given to us, to which we must be very responsible. Hi, Lucy Minor. She's saying, I'm not married, my sister, but I'm the place of waiting on God, learning a lot from you. Oh, I'm blessed for that. I'm blessed with that comment. Thank you so much, Lucy, and welcome. God is going to give you what your heart desires. Yeah, He puts the desires in you Himself, and you're going to see the beauty in that. Yeah, and even when it doesn't look as big as the vision that you have in mind, there will be beautiful moments. Yeah, that God gives you. I always say a marriage to the right person, or to the kingdom man. Yeah, I think at some point you'll have to stop saying the right person, because the person that God gives you doesn't look right. Yeah, he looks broken, just like you. He's addressing the issues that you carry. Yeah, and so you fight for each other, and it's a beautiful thing. It's natural. It's like nature. Yeah, and God is going to give you that. Believe it. Yeah, so write that vision, Lucy, and though it tarries, wait for it. Yeah, God is faithful. He's going, Gaitimwaganu, I see your Kikuyu. So Gaitimwaganu, He's going to bring it to fruition, okay? And you will tell of the things that God has done. You'll have a testimony, okay? So I touch and believe with you that you're going to get a great man. And sometimes the great man and the right man is right before you. But because we are given to imagination, that's why we are told to cast down imagination. Yeah, we keep thinking it will be greater. Sometimes God does more, okay, but that comes out of surrender. When you surrender and leave it to God, He does beautiful things. Yeah, He gives beauty for ashes. So for whatever you're doing, I pray for blessings and the multiplication of that thing. Yeah, so in recompense setting, I pray that God sees you and many others who are believing in marriage, because it will surely come. Marriage is a great ministry that carries generations. So you must understand that this is larger than us. Yeah. Amen. Amen. You're welcome. Okay. So this is larger than us. And I I will one day, guys, tell you about the great woman that is my mother-in-law, and we were not given to enjoying that greatness together. She had to step aside for me to become who she wanted, who God wanted, and for me to see. Because a lot of times when we work with people, we think these people are driving me crazy. They're making me so mad, They're criticizing me, and I am the new kid in the block. And this woman had the wisdom that transcends generations, yeah? And so she steps aside to build, yeah? And now it seems like yesterday, but now I'm in that position where I have to embrace my daughters-in-law, and I have to say that I learned only from the best, and not by being there with her, but her, by entrusting others with the generations that are to come. We'll talk about that one day. But yes, God is going to reward you guys who have believed with great marriages. And, everything that you've learned, everything that you've seen is God, preparing you. Even the pain sometimes of waiting, yeah? Whether you wait or you don't, that comes with a lot of pain. And God is going to reward you and mend your wounds. Yeah. Now, there's something I said even in the description, that God is also going to recompense that thief, that has been stealing. And in Proverbs 6:30, it talks about the people who are just taking. Yeah, they take to satisfy themselves. The work of our hands is blessed, and we don't need to be greedy and thirsting after what somebody else has. That is what a thief does. Yeah, they look at what you have and they're like, no, I want it, and they steal that. The strength that they have, the strength that they're practicing and working on, is just taking that thing And that comes with a lot of violence, yeah. And there are people who are going to miss seasons just because they wanted that thing easy from you, yeah, and they violated you. Thieving or stealing from somebody else, or stealing somebody else's blessings, comes with a lot of violence against them, yeah. And so that is why I think also God will, caused me to talk about witchcraft. A lot of people are so sensitive towards this. Whenever witchcraft the topic comes up, they're like, I'm out. Yeah, I don't believe in these things, and I don't think so. But I always think that when people don't believe and they walk out, that is good, because they are about to, it is a deep talking unto deep. That is why you react. And so you're about to encounter how your life even has been stolen from. Yeah, you're not operating at the level you should because of the thief in your life. Yeah. And so thieving or thievery or this stealing may come in the form of, you know, uh, somebody going against you in witchcraft, because they covet what you have, yeah. Ideally, and let me tell you, the sadness about this is that God gives somebody from the family. He chooses that person and gives them that mantle because he has prepared them in the secret, yeah, even before they were born. So you seeing them and seeing them even operating in the power, it's already too late, okay? But when you attack them, especially through witchcraft, you are actually sending them where they should, which is a good thing. It will work for them, but not for you. We understand how it feels. I say I understand people who do witchcraft against somebody, because I shared this in the altars that we were fighting. Yeah, I once had a voice talking to me against my niece, okay, and that really shocked me. But it also allowed me to understand what was done to me and what my, do you know, the thoughts that we think every day, yeah, they're not all ours. Sometimes it's the demons speaking to us, especially when we are come from afflicted families. They're demons speaking to us, and we think, the way I'm spiritual, this must be God, yeah. And so we must learn to separate things, yeah. We must know which is wheat and which is weeds, yeah. And even when we attack our children, we must question this anger and these feelings are negative feelings I'm feeling against this child. Are they my own? Because essentially you should be loving and wanting the best for your children. But when we are afflicted in our lives, we don't have love, yeah? And we are always just cursing, always just having these warnings. You guys will see. Yeah, you will test what I've gone through, yeah? And even when children are even defending the other parent, because we go out and just get messy. Sometimes you're yelling at your husband, sometimes the husband is yelling at children, abusing them, and some children will speak, and that child gets really punished, and cursed, but you don't know that this child is pointing out to the problem in this family. I wish we could see, because then we would turn to God and pray for mercy. That is what we are supposed to do. Yeah, anyway, when you feel this way towards a child, especially in the next generation, and you go out and cast some spells on them, it's just like that, yeah, a spell, and you see it affecting this child in one way or another, and then they seem to have risen above that. I remember a time when spells were being cast on me, and every time they cast a spell, they would go away. And when they came around me again, I was blessed with another thing. Yeah. It's like, that I would just hit the ground, the bottom. And they say it's good to be at the bottom because you can't go lower. And then God lifts you up with something because you're always trying. Yeah. There's an energy and a speed given to the next person that you do not know. And it always hurts when it's the chosen people attacking you. Yeah. Because theirs will be a greater punishment. And so they would come and find another blessing, and they noticed, this child is rising, even with whatever we are doing. And now they begin black magic. Now black magic is more dangerous because it can cause, it is after your life. Yeah, that is where you even get like a spirit of death is ushered against you. Yeah. there's a lot of manipulation for you to do the wrong thing so that you may step out of your blessing. Yeah. Anyway, this thing was done, and it is, stealing against you, stealing against the blessing given to somebody. And I say it is sad because when God chooses one among you, they're actually supposed to save you. Okay, it is the same way that Jesus was sent to save us in this world. But when when he was being because it had to go through a process. Yeah. And when the people were asked, who should I free, Jesus or Barabbas? This guy was a thief. But people said, set free this guy, the thief, yeah? And crucify Jesus. Are you sure? This guy who has always done you good? Do you see that in your family? The person who is always doing good, but they're so harmless, they're so weak. But everybody is irritated with this child. Everybody is irritated with this person, yeah? Everybody is irritated. They're calling you the Miss Goody Two Shoes, yeah? Everybody is irritated by this girl that just got married into this family. There are people who are even slapping her around, fighting her, because they're like, you're not even worthy, our brother. Yeah. So stealing, yeah. And all these things, the violence that is meted, the witchcraft is a lot of violence against someone. If only the witchcraft was turned against you, who is witching, and you felt the things that these people have felt, you would never touch witchcraft again, yeah? But then it happens, and so they're stealing from you in many ways. And when that thing comes to a point where God is now saving this child, because God will not let you die, no matter how much you're attacked, yeah? And even if that happens to some members of the family, you see that God also works this thing out in the family for them to understand. Anyway, so this person stands despite all your attacks, yeah? And the saddest thing is that instead of you getting this glory that this child went out to get, and I say child, but some people get it, when they are older. As this child is coming into their glory, you're losing, you and your generation, yeah? And it will be paid to you 7 times what you did, even though it costs you everything. Like originally, you didn't even have enough. Especially, imagine an afflicted family where they're even suffering poverty. And one of the members of the family decides to bewitch another who seems to be rising above that poverty. Like you would rather all stay in that poverty. And when you see that God is doing this thing, you don't think that he's doing it for all of you. That is why blood is thicker, because when one is blessed, all of you are blessed, even when you don't see it, yeah? Even when you don't receive it in your hand, it means your children will. The one who is supposed to come into the physical blessings, like they receive it in the physical arena, because when you're blessed even when it doesn't look at like it in the physical. Okay. And that is why I say afflicted families are actually blessed families, but they're not receiving it in the physical realm, because a lot of things are done. There's a curse against your lives, there's witchcraft, there's a curse from God, which can be broken at any time if people humble and they turn back to God, yeah? But God will allow you to go on in this curse because you do not know him. Every time that you come to understand, because with growth comes understanding. Every time you see a chance where you can go back to God, you're like, no. Every time there's an awakening, you just choose wrong, yeah? Because when there's a curse upon your life, it's very easy to keep doing the wrong thing, yeah? And that is why we have to cry for mercy, in Gikuyu, there's a song that says, Nyedaga weka wega, gekora gekaoru, jereno ne dedero. You see yourself sliding always into the mud. You have to humble and cry unto God, and he will hear you and heal your nation. So this curse can actually be broken anytime. It doesn't have to take 4 generations, okay? It says so in the Bible. I think Jeremiah 31 or something, and Ezekiel 18, yeah? It says the person who decides to do different, yeah, can be saved by his own actions, okay? So we don't have to always reap what our fathers, or our fathers did. By just choosing to be a good person, by just choosing salvation, then Jesus becomes a curse for you, okay? He carries the burden himself. It doesn't have to go through the process, but you stay in this murky situation because every time your eyes open to a thing, you always choose the evil. Yeah, witchcraft will never uh work. It works as, as much as these people don't know. But when God, comes into this situation to save his child, because even in an accursed family, in a family that is going through this, all these problems, all this affliction, there is still a person that God will use. God is still using someone in the generation. God is still using you, keeping you guys. You're not dying. You're not being destroyed. Yeah. He's watching his word to perform it. There's a set time for you guys to be redeemed, yeah? And God will still do his thing. Let me tell you, by manipulating the situation, there's nothing you have really done except put yourself in this curse. And that is what the devil does, yeah? By bringing you into agreement with the wrong thing, like witchcraft, yeah? So you find that your family, your particular unit, will suffer down the generations. And that is the inheritance you leave to them, an inheritance of being totally cast, yeah, so that they can't even see, what is against them to fight, yeah. They just keep issuing curses, and that is a problem, okay. So that is one major way that the evil one steals, that the thief steals. But God is faithful to make sure that the thief is caught. Yeah, when the thief is caught, you know, he will pay 7 times, even though it costs him everything. And that is a lot of people who refuse to repent. Yeah, they see as you come into your glory, as you come into your blessing. Yeah, and they end up now losing their lives and everything they've ever gained. Yeah, because God is not a respecter of people. Even though you've done so much, you're going to lose because you chose wrong. You did not choose him. Choose him and choose life, yeah, so that you may stand. Look up and live. Do not do these things. And when you find yourself, tricked into some mess, into sin, you have a way out by repenting. Yeah, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves. Yeah, it starts with humility. So if you're a thief today, and if you're even going to miss a season, if you're going to come into a really bad recompense because of what you did, you have an option of repenting. Yeah, so I won't even go much into that. It's not pleasant. It's not in any way encouraging to the person who has made many mistakes. God is calling you to just humble and repent. Yeah, and when you do that, he's faithful to deliver you and to restore you. You may not see it, but if you can do it for somebody else, because that is actually what our calling is about. Yeah, if you have been, doing all this spiritual manipulation against another, and God is settling them, and you see yourself and your children, you can even see it as you watch. You can see that your family is not doing well anymore because of what you got into, the agreements you made. Come out of agreement today, because you were lied to. You didn't do this because you love being a witch, and some of you are not even the witches. You just pay for this to be done, yeah, and you're so happy because you're doing it in the secret and nobody is seeing you. Yeah, but God is calling you to come up higher. Come out of all those things that you're doing. Repent. Yeah, and some of them, for some people, it's already like they will lose their lives whether they repent or they don't. Yeah, it's better by repenting. You're just leaving a godly heritage to your children. Yeah, by repenting, you turn that thing around, and it's not by power or by might. Just cry today and surrender to God and let him take it take it up from there, because God wills to settle people, wills to settle your family, wants to set them free. And the only thing you can do is accept him. Yeah, accept that he carries this burden. He carries all these mistakes and makes you new, okay, so that even when you lose it, your children will gain. Yeah, and your grandchildren, you will leave a godly heritage to your children's children. Okay, so there is refuge if you run to it. Okay, there is recompense that can be turned to good, because you have accepted the Lord. Yeah, you have accepted to change your ways. You already see the evil, but some people are so hard-hearted. They're so stiff neck, they never turn. They have made an agreement, a binding one. They don't want to change. They want to see people cry and suffer. But like, you don't have anyone that is given to you so that you can manipulate them like this, yeah? And even if they suffer, it's only for a time. And then they will come to their glory because you pressured them into it, yeah? You actually did them a favor. These witches are working for you, not against you. As much as you expected life to be simple and so soft, it's not given to you, but you will receive a lot. You will come into a blessing now. Your life may not look as what you desire or what is in your mind, but you will see it in the land of the living. You will see your children coming into a greater blessings, and their children, even more so, and so on and so forth. It will be generations of blessings where nobody will be able to do anything to them. Have you ever seen some people that are blessed and you are like, the way they are messing up, they will fail. They will not fail. They are too blessed to be cast. Yeah, somebody paid the price. That's the price I'm urging you to pay, especially for older people, for older women. I'm urging you to learn to renew your mind. Yeah, not by power or might. Yeah, renew your mind towards your children, even the ones that you're angry at. Renew your mind, and you will see that God will do a greater thing. That very child that you're so angry at right now is going to turn around and be a blessing to you, but it will take your faith to see a new thing happening. Yeah, so renew your mind and ask God to give you a gentle heart. This doesn't just come. Yeah, you have to be committed to changing, and sometimes we don't change until something very drastic happens. Yeah, sometimes our children block us for us to learn. I have not come to that yet, because God is so faithful that he taught me. He opened my eyes before I came to a place where no, one of my children actually blocked me on IG. Yeah, he couldn't allow me to have an opinion over his life. Yeah, that is Tamwa. You already know, especially if you've been watching. Yeah, my child does not pull punches, and he has great wisdom, and man, whatever I think I have is given to him, and even the others, yeah, in mighty ways. So they school me. Some still act like I'm so soft, a vessel, like they need to spoil me, but they still school me. So I really appreciate, yeah. And especially for the mothers who have come to another land, and you think your children are changing so much and you need to keep them under your control. Trust me, control is the worst thing that you can ever do. Whether you're a wife, a new wife, an older wife, and you've been given to control, repent against that spirit. Ask God to allow you to see your husband as he sees them, yeah, as he sees them, and the gift that is given to them, and the leadership and the vision. Ask your husbands today about the vision, yeah. I have ordered the book, Secrets of Fascinating Womanhood. It is where they talk about, I've read it online, yeah. I've read it as an ebook. If you want, you can contact me. I'll send it to you. Yeah, it is a ridiculous book that is written about how by changing ourselves, we actually change our homes. And so I need to read it again. I need a physical copy. But if you want an ebook and you're into reading ebooks, I can send you. Yeah, it is a total change of the mind, to work on yourself, to change even your tone, how you speak to people, even how you speak to your husband. But also I'm adding how you speak to your male children, because again, men are not women. I'm telling you, you see this closeness we see with mothers and their daughters, it's because they can think alike. They get each other. Yeah, men will turn against you at the right time. When you just have a lot to lose, they will leave you. Even your male children, they won't pull punches. You think you're controlling this child, and God will give him a wife. When they connect with that wife, you'll not be able to say a thing. You'll think you still have time to do that. You'll still think that you can say something, But by getting a wife, they've come into a different kind of power against you. So if there's something they're holding against you, something that you didn't change, the rudeness that you used to have against their father, and even, treating them like your little husbands because now they're grown, and you're like, I want to connect with this kind of power. You're empowering your sons, talking to them, nicely, but you yell at your husband and you want to show your children your husband is nothing. Guys, we need a renewal of our mind, and we need to come into truth. Yeah. Let us come into the truth. Let us peel our eyes to what God wants us to learn and to see. We fail daily. We just don't know. And men will not tell you. I fear being around men because they will not tell you that you're making a mistake. They will not confront you with it. You just lose. You get a recompense at the right time. When you have too much to lose, that is when you realize, oh my God, this mouth was actually working against me. My attitude, my control, that I want to tell everybody what to do, them and the people they're connected to, mistake. Yeah. So you see yourself losing just because you didn't change your ways, you didn't change your mind, you didn't, humble before God and submit to your husband so that your children can see that as a great example and rise. And let me tell you, there's a kind of submission that is actually manipulation, yeah, where you say, there's wrong, you can't speak about it, you can't speak against it, you can't, change, you can't stand in your power, you pretend, that is called codependence. It is where an example is like where somebody is like a drunk, yeah, but you enable that behavior. Somebody is into drugs, somebody is abusing, even the children, but you enable that behavior because it's convenient to you. Every time you're acting, you're accepting even vices and evil because it is beneficial to you, you will reap. That is why you see your children being like, no, I don't want marriage. I don't. And you're like, I stayed in this marriage, I made the sacrifices. Nope, that is not the kind of life I want to live for myself. Yeah. So I'm not saying that submission comes with wisdom, godly submission, not manly. So where you enable bad behavior because you're codependent and you're like, I cannot leave this home, this is the man, and so he drinks himself to death. You don't say anything about it. You don't, now this is where you should come into forcing and pressuring, yeah, somebody to do better, to come into better, to get the kind of help that they need. Yeah, some of you are operating and are living with narcissists, and you don't stop that behavior because you think you don't urge people to get the kind of help they need so that they don't become what you detest. Yeah, so you're like enabling that, and you just help them to even become worse. That's not the kind of submission I'm talking about. I'm talking about being a great example, aligning with God and allowing people to see what God is doing in your life. He changes you. They see you change because you did not come into this thing perfect. You're not a mom or a wife or a teacher or whatever it is you're doing in your life because you're perfect. You're that because you're chosen, okay? And so for you to even operate in power, you have to align with your maker, okay? And he's willing to teach you. He's willing to carry out, he's willing to show you how to handle this position of yours, not with disrespect because you think, oh, you guys are messing up so much, and I'm not. He sees you. He sees everything that is happening. He sees everybody's heart, yeah? And whoever does not value what is given to them, you lose it. Whatever you don't value, you lose. If you don't value people, you lose these people, okay? When you just have enough, when you can't lose them, that is when you lose, when you have too much to lose, yeah? So I think, guys, the message is home. So I'm gonna stop there. And I pray that God blesses you, God keeps you, God shines his face upon you, God delivers these blessings that you need in a major way, and celebrate when you get these things, but also just remember your maker, because it is he who gives you the wisdom to build wealth, okay? If you're a person who has been blessed enough to see and receive your blessings in the physical. Raise a shout, raise a hallelujah, but no, it's all about you. Yeah, do the right thing, do the the thing that God is giving you these tools for. Okay, and work diligently, and work as to him. Yeah, everything that you're doing, including the spouse, the kind of spouse you are, the kind of mom or parent you are, the kind of worker you are, is unto him, yeah, for his glory and honor. That is what we are called to do. So thank you so much for listening. I pray that God blessings found you. May you give a testimony in its time. Write the vision that you see now, because whatever you're receiving will be tools, yeah, to an even greater blessing, yeah, if you handle it right. So God bless you and keep you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.